Tonight on CTV News at 6. How high is the water?
Lots of the town of Dowling is actually in the floodplain, and so we're keeping an eye on the Onaping River and how it reacts to the rain that's forecast.
Is Conservation Sudbury worried about more flooding? Protecting workers.
It's so easy. You cross the river, fill your order book and come home. It's just too easy. But it's been too easy for too long.
Sault Ste. Marie is getting provincial funding to protect those impacted by U.S. tariffs. And making a difference one cookie at a time.
The community comes out strong. We are really, really lucky, and we have such great community supporters.
The Tim Hortons Smile Cookie campaign starts today.
CTV News at 6 with Tony Ryma and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. Thanks so much for being with us on this Monday, April 27th. One person was killed after an early morning crash in Sudbury. Provincial police say the single vehicle collision happened around 2:50 this morning along Highway 69 at the Highway 17 junction. The 42-year-old female driver suffered serious, life-threatening injuries and later died in hospital. Police closed the southbound lanes between the west and eastbound off-ramps for the investigation, but the road reopened just before 10 a.m. Police aren't saying much about a death investigation in Sault Ste. Marie. Police have only said detectives are looking into a death in the 1200 block of Trunk Road. There has been a lot of police activity in the area all day long. Conservation Sudbury says while water levels have receded in some areas, they are rising in others. And as CTV's Alana Everson tells us, the Onaping River in the area of Dowling is a concern, along with the lower Vermilion River.
The city confirms it has sandbagged 2 wells on Riverside Drive in Dowling as a precaution to protect the physical assets. Also to support continued delivery of water to the community. Conservation Sudbury says it's keeping a close eye on Dowling.
We are watching Dowling for sure. Lots of the town of Dowling is actually in the floodplain, and so we're keeping an eye on the Onaping River and how it reacts to the rain that's forecast.
Conservation Sudbury says the Junction Creek and Whitson River systems have declined.
They may rise a little bit with this coming rain. Onaping remains high, and we're watching it very closely, and the lower parts of the Vermilion River remain high and are flooding into certain areas, and we're watching that very closely as well with this coming rain.
Meanwhile, in Chelmsford, flooding has receded on Belanger Street. This homeowner says the aftermath is just as bad as the flood.
In my basement, I was up to 4 feet of water in my basement, so everything went. I lost everything that was in there. I have well over $150,000 damage.
Shelley Few says she took immediate action, sparked by health concerns.
Right now, we're having to do everything on our own because we're not getting any answers from our insurance company. And right now, it's a health hazard to live with the mold and the stench and the rotten food in the basement.
Conservation Sudbury says it will update the flood situation midweek, with rain in the forecast and as the northern snowpack continues to melt. Alana Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
The municipality of French River put a call out for volunteers over the weekend, and it seems the community answered. More than 24 showed up to help sandbag through Saturday afternoon. There was everyone from residents, high school students, the deputy mayor of Marks Day Warren, and CTV's director Lillian Pakula, and 11:30 anchor Ian Campbell. Fire officials estimate more than 2,000 sandbags were filled in the 4-hour slot. There continues to be concern about the water release from Lake Nipissing. Water is running high across the community, so there's hope floodwaters will recede soon. Sault Ste. Marie's strategy for dealing with American tariffs just got a cash infusion from the province. City officials are meeting with possible investors with the money announced today aimed at bringing more business to the city. CTV's Corey Nordstrom reports.
While visiting the Sault, Ontario's Minister of Economic Development provided 500,000 ways to combat tariffs in the city. The $500,000 investment from the province's Trade Impacted Communities program will support the municipality's foreign direct investment strategy.
It's so easy. You cross the river, fill your order book and come home. It's just too easy. But it's been too easy for too long, and now we're paying part of the price for it.
Now that market is much more volatile and much less certain, you need to look for other markets to be able to diversify your trade, help local businesses find new customers in regions that are not to our immediate south.
Shoemaker says the foreign direct investment strategy will allow for better communication with companies from across the globe on the benefits of doing business in the Soo, including site visits related to industries such as steel or forestry. And with Fidelity in town, the Soo mayor adds that he couldn't pass up the opportunity to speak on another job creator, the Port of Algoma.
We see it as the foundational piece to helping companies have the infrastructure here that they need in order to be able to grow. It's what's been missing, I would say, for a long time. We have highway access, we have rail access, and there is private port access, but not public port that is equally accessible to all.
Today's funds are part of nearly $30 billion the province has outlined for tariff relief. Fidelity points out that what's most important is settling the trade dispute with the United States, noting the Ford government's support for the work done by the Prime Minister.
We have input wherever we can. We talk about the auto sector, we talk about steel, we talk about aluminum, we talk about lumber, we talk about copper, all the areas that are heavily tariffed. We feed into the federal government our statistics of the pain that it's causing.
Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
Ontario is fast-tracking the Red Lake transmission line in the Northwest and launching a new hydroelectricity program. Officials say the program will help power mining, create jobs, and drive economic growth in the North.
And I'm very proud to be here as we build an economy that I think we could leave a legacy for our children and grandchildren. At the core of our energy expansion and our economic expansion is we need clean, reliable power.
Minister Stephen Lecce says the transmission line will power new mines and strengthen the economy. He adds this step will employ more than 5,800 people and unlock $830 million in economic potential. Effective Friday, the Social Services Board in the District of Nipissing will deliver homeless outreach services. This comes as True Self winds down to focus more on First Nations members who live on and off reserve. We get the details from CTV's Eric Tashner.
After True Self Homeless Outreach Service announced it was pulling out of the city, the Social Services Board began looking for its successor. Now it's decided to take control itself.
It literally forced our hand. It's probably one of the most important services that we actually provide in the downtown core.
The board decided a direct delivery is the most practical approach to make sure outreach support continues. Due to budgeting constraints, DSAB says services may not look exactly the same as before, and hours will be limited from 8 to 4:30.
It has a lot to do with basically labor agreements that force overtime after those hours.
Outreach services will be delivered to the homeless through a revised model designed to improve coordination, strengthen health integration, and continue collaboration with community partners. Community paramedicine outreach will play a key role, working alongside staff and community partners, supporting early intervention and help individuals connect more easily with follow-up services. One of the 10 outreach clinics will be at Suswin Village every other week.
A lot of my residents don't have family doctors, so that helps them if they're sick.
The core focus is to build trust, assess needs, and connect individuals to essential resources like food, shelter, healthcare, and social supports.
Residents that we have in the house are like from North Bay, and they have to be in the community for at least 3 months, usually coming off the streets or coming from out of the jail system or the recovery home detox.
DSAB says the outreach service mandate is to engage and support homeless people by meeting them where they are, both physically and in terms of their readiness for assistance. Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
The Canadian Coast Guard was in Parry Sound today as crews took to the water to practice emergency response techniques ahead of the busy boating season. CTV's Mike Lang was there and brings us a look at the training program.
Coast Guard 04 on channel 82 Alpha, over.
According to the Canadian Coast Guard, it responded to more than 1,200 search and rescue cases on the Great Lakes last year, which means crews need to be ready for the unexpected.
One particular call I had was the last day of the season. We're getting ready to pack up, getting ready to go. It's our last night, and we get called out at 3 a.m. for a sailboat.
Victoria, BC's Hilary Beauvais is a search and rescue officer for the Arctic region and is one of the lead instructors for this year's Coast Guard training in Parry Sound, one of 7 similar programs across the country.
I think it's important that we bring the crews up to speed and we ensure that they meet that standard, so if something does happen on the water, that the public can rely on them.
The nearly 40 trainees are being put through a gauntlet of life and vessel-saving skills.
From basic boat handling skills, navigational skills, all the way to the advanced topics such as heavy weather boat handling, search and rescue patterns, recovering people from the water.
100 feet off their bow!
Monday's exercises included blind docking and towing. Trainees had to carefully tow the larger Cambrian vessel into the Parry Sound dock.
They're practicing this because there are times when they have to tow another vessel and bring it alongside.
Jay Ham is in her 3rd year of training, assuming more of a leadership role for young recruits.
You'll be leading your crew, and you don't expect your crew to know everything. You're the one that is expected to know absolutely everything on the boat.
The group including 13 rookies who were selected from several hundred applicants.
It's been really fun. They're keeping us busy, but honestly, I couldn't think of a better way to spend my last 3 days and the beginning of my summer break.
The group will train for just over 2 more weeks, where they will continue practicing navigation, first aid, and vessel maintenance. Once they finish, they will get deployed in the Great Lakes for 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off throughout the summer. Mike Lang, CTV News, Parry Sound.
A North Bay man has been charged with a dozen offenses after police say he was running a vehicle for hire service without the required licenses. Charges were laid following a police investigation into an unlicensed operation in North Bay. Police say the man was operating without either a driver's license or an owner's license under the applicable bylaw. You can read more on this story on our website, CTV News Northern Ontario.ca. We're coming off a beautiful weekend, and this Monday wasn't bad either. However, get ready for some unsettled conditions. Here's CTV's Rick Wyman in the Weather Center to tell us more. Rick.
Tony, you sound like a weather forecaster right now. That comes in handy. Our forecast radar right now issued by Environment Canada. Some rain in the Soo this evening, Wawa, Chapleau, and centers west, and more rain tomorrow throughout northeastern Ontario. You could see some snow as part of that system moving in, low pressure system. Also some sleet and a lot cooler temperatures. This week is not going to be as warm as what you all experienced this past weekend. I mean, we were blessed on Saturday and Sunday, fantastic temperatures, nice conditions, but we've got a change in the weather. Some details coming up a little bit later on this hour. Tony?
Thanks, Rick. We know spring has arrived in Ontario, but winter-like conditions are still strong in parts of Algonquin Provincial Park. Park staff say light conditions vary widely, with some parts ice-free and others partially covered or containing floating ice. As a result, backcountry camping for paddlers and backpackers remains closed. Visitors are told to expect difficult conditions on trails, including mud, slush, and possible downed trees following winter storms. A housing developer and the city of Greater Sudbury are about to square off. Still to come on CTV News at 6. What is this squabble all about? But first, we're off to Sault Ste. Marie and the International Bridge, and this shot is courtesy of the International Bridge Administration. It's 16 degrees in the Soo. We're back after this commercial break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
A public hearing was held today on the Ford government's bill, which could result in sweeping changes to Ontario's education system. Bill 101 would limit school board sizes, cap the amount paid to trustees, and establish a CEO role at a school board. The legislation has been criticized by the opposition that says it does little to help students. The Ontario NDP education critic spoke along grassroots parents groups ahead of today's hearing.
The government has limited committee hearings to a single day, which means that the vast majority of public voices and perspectives on this bill will not be heard by the committee. Students, parents, teachers and education workers, principals, trustees, disability and equity advocates, and community members have all expressed concerns about Bill 101 and its centralization of power in the hands of a minister who is also giving himself sweeping immunity, about new layers of bureaucracy, and about the bill's attack on transparency, accountability, and community voices.
Ontario Education Minister Paul Calandra has said the intention of the bill is to dramatically reduce the role of trustees and refocus their jobs around representing parents and students. Parents who've lost children and young people who've been hurt showed up on Parliament Hill today with an urgent message. Kids are being harmed every day on social media, and something has to be done about it now. CTV's Rachel Aiello was at the rally.
Time is up. Youth from across the country came to the nation's capital today with a clear message.
The time is up. Stop the delay and protect the kids today.
Armed with a stack of letters addressed to every single member of Parliament, they are calling on the federal government to urgently introduce and pass online safety legislation.
I have been waiting a third of my life for this to be reality.
As the first generation growing up fully online, they spoke about feeling unsafe on social media, using AI chatbots, and playing video games.
We can't vote, but our voices matter.
Parents who have seen what damage can be done to kids online were also there, including Amanda Todd's mother, who has long been demanding action after her daughter, a victim of cyberbullying, died by suicide.
Her story shocked this country, but what should shock us even more is that more than a decade later, children are still being harmed in the same ways.
The Liberals have been promising some form of online harms legislation since 2019. Two different versions were tabled in Parliament and scrutinized, but both bills died between the last two federal elections. The youth then hit the Hill, meeting with decision makers from all parties to lobby for a new online harms bill this spring. Their push comes on the heels of Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew committing to ban social media and AI for children in his province.
Our kids will never be for sale, and their attention and their childhoods should never be profited from.
Well, as a parent, I share the same concerns as many parents. Too much screen time, highly addictive algorithms.
Today, the group also met with Mark Miller, the minister responsible for future online harms legislation. He's yet to say when a new bill may be ready, as he's still consulting experts on what its scope should be. But the youth told me today they won't let another year pass without action. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
The town of Iroquois Falls will be getting $20 million from the province for the repair and remediation of Monteith Road. A post on its Facebook page outlines how the money is coming from the provincial government. Iroquois Falls says the project will also include a full repair of the recent slip failure that took place on the road. The phased project is expected to span between 3 to 4 years. Engineering and culvert replacement will begin this summer. The Ontario Land Tribunal has announced dates when a $12.2 million claim will be heard connected to the construction of the Maley Drive extension in Sudbury. The extension opened in November 2019 with the $80 million price tag shared equally between the city, the province, and the federal government. However, Dalron Construction claims the city not only built part of the extension on land the company owned, but it also used 445,000 cubic meters of blast rock from the property without permission. None of the claims have been tested in court. The Ontario Land Tribunal will hear the case over 5 weeks starting April 6, 2027. We're getting our first look at how the newly renovated Rogers Arena will look once the City of Elliott Lake is done with renovations. In the latest update, City Council has been told repairs at the arena remain on budget and on schedule. Installation of the new knee braces are now complete, while the shoring towers, which were in place to support the roof, are being removed. Work will now start on replacing the concrete apron surrounding the ice pad to allow for the floor to be properly compacted and level for new rink boards. Renderings show how the final product could look. Imagine more than 100 people needing to be rescued from a vessel on a waterway that borders Canada and the U.S. That's the kind of high-pressure scenario emergency crews trained for this weekend as agencies from both sides of the border came together to test how they would respond. CTV's Sanjay Maru reports.
1, 2, 3.
And with that, a full-scale response begins. On the Detroit River, a mass casualty scenario unfolding in real time.
The Windsor-Detroit River and corridor is one of the most challenging interagency zones because we have such a narrow area and we have a lot of different agencies with different jurisdictions.
From EMS and RCMP to Coast Guards and Navies, 12 agencies taking part in this weekend's 11th annual Border Sentinel training program.
Quite a large exercise, as we did bring on about 106 casualties that will evacuate off the Mikasa Bay and bring back here for triage with our EMS.
And while the 106 victims are not in real distress,
I was burnt everywhere. I had smoke in my lungs due to a cabin fire.
There's nothing fake about how quickly first responders spring into action. Simulated patients are being transported from the area around Belle Isle to the HMCS Hunter office near Windsor's West End. And I can tell you the waters here along the Detroit River are oh so choppy, a testament to how resilient these emergency crews are to get patients back to safety along these very difficult waters.
In order to get all of these agencies capable of responding effectively in an incident means that we need to practice and we need to coordinate. So we have to learn and trial all of those different skills so that we are able to, in the event that any kind of large-scale incident occurs, that we're able to respond.
While this training is designed to build that coordination, for many here, it's their first Border Sentinel exercise.
When you think about what you're coming to do until it gets real, it all looks like pretty easy going, but once it's go time, amped up and away you go.
A reminder, this is not just practice, it's preparation for when it matters most. In Windsor, Sanjay Maru, CTV News.
Back now for a check on your current conditions with Rick.
Nice temperatures in the forecast for this evening, almost a continuation of what we experienced on the weekend, but it's going to turn wet, especially later on this evening in some areas like Sault Ste. Marie. So again, we'll check out some of the current temperatures and have a sneak peek at the 7-day forecast in just a couple of minutes. Let's begin in Moosonee, 9 degrees, sunny skies. Cochrane, 16. Timmins, 21. Sun and cloud in Kapuskasing at 19 as well. 19 in Chapleau, 20 Wawa, some sun and cloud. Sault Ste. Marie, sunshine. That's going to change by later on this evening. Parry Sound, 22 sunny skies. A beautiful drive down 69. 23 in North Bay, sun and cloud. Temiskaming Shores, 21. Kirkland Lake at 19 as well. 21 Greater Sudbury. Not a bad night in Greater Sudbury. 19 Espanola, 19 Elliott Lake, and 19 in Gore Bay. So some beautiful temperatures as we cap off some great weather for the last couple of days, but that is about to change. As you will see in just a few minutes, we've got some rain in the forecast. Stick around for details.
Thanks, Rick. Canadians investing in Canada. Next on CTV News at 6. Today, the Prime Minister announced the National Sovereign Wealth Fund. Plus, King Charles and Queen Camilla are in the U.S. for a state visit. King Charles begins his state visit to the U.S. today with a focus on strengthening the relationship between the two countries. Charles, along with Queen Camilla, will kick off the 4-day trip today. The visit includes a private tea with U.S. President Donald Trump before an address to Congress, a state dinner, and stops in New York and Virginia. The shooting suspect who tried to breach the White House Correspondents' Dinner has been charged with the attempted assassination of President Trump. The suspect, 31-year-old Cole Allen of California, is a part-time teacher and video game developer. Officials say he sent a manifesto to his family before the attack. He's also facing federal gun charges. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt weighed in on the president's safety after this weekend shooting.
I definitely wouldn't say changes are out of the question. I think, again, that it's up to the White House here, and we view it as a great responsibility to ensure the maximum safety of the president and the vice president and the entire cabinet. And so we're always looking for ways to improve security. I think if you just sit here and say everything is perfect all the time, that's not a good way to operate. And so the White House will continue to engage with DHS and with Secret Service to find ways to improve and strengthen security. But as far as Saturday night is concerned, the president was satisfied with the response, and he's very grateful to the men and women who provided the response for him and his wife and members of his team.
The incident is renewing questions about Trump's safety, as this is the third time he has been targeted in 2 years. Now to the conflict in Iran. The country has offered to end the stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz, but without addressing U.S. concerns over Iran's nuclear program. Shipping traffic in the strait remains snarled due to Iranian restrictions and the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports. Sources say Iran has agreed to remove its restrictions in exchange for the U.S. lifting its blockade. A fragile ceasefire between the United States and Iran remains in place. On the weekend, President Trump canceled plans for his top envoys to travel to Islamabad for negotiations. A new report from the Jewish human rights organization B'nai B'rith Canada reveals that anti-Semitism has reached record levels. The organization says international tension after the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attacks against Israel fueled an increase in anti-Semitism in Canada, which has now hit unprecedented levels. The most recent data from Statistics Canada shows hate crimes across the board have increased over the past 6 years. Canadians will soon have a direct financial stake in this country's major nation-building projects. The Prime Minister announced the Canada Strong Fund, an investment vehicle for the private sector and ordinary Canadians. CTV's Michael Couture tells us more.
Canada's first national sovereign wealth fund.
Using a Canadian Pacific Railway train as a backdrop, the Prime Minister says the new fund will allow Canadians to contribute to projects that will build the nation, like the Iron Spine did 150 years ago. The federal government will put up $25 billion and is counting on Canadians to also invest.
But we intend to provide it in a way where the investment itself, the actual amount of money, is protected. It's something consistent to buying a government bond, but has the upside, the additional return when these projects realize their potential.
Carney added the fund will operate as an independent arm's-length Crown corporation. He also compared it to Norway's wealth fund, which is worth more than $2 trillion US. But some economists warn there is a difference.
The funding model in Norway might work better because it's funded through surpluses. But here we need to make sure that we have a stable budget and get rid of those deficits before we think of injecting more money.
Pierre Poilievre points out the Liberals created the Defence Industry Bank and the Infrastructure Bank, which the Conservative leader contends have not borne fruit.
It's déjà vu all over again. Borrowing yet another $25 billion out of the economy to subsidize projects that the government still cannot figure out how to approve.
Carney says the Infrastructure Bank and other agencies do work.
All of those entities are helping underlying businesses at the core to move forward.
The Prime Minister sees this as an opportunity for ordinary Canadians to invest a little money into big Canadian projects. But with the ongoing affordability crisis, it's unclear how many people will have the means to do so. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
The blockade in the Strait of Hormuz means that vessels carrying fertilizer are stuck, leading to rising prices. The situation is putting more pressure on PEI potato farmers who are already playing catch-up. CTV's Mariah Saru has the details.
On this grading line, potatoes keep rolling, but so do the signs of last year's drought. The team is sorting out defects, and farmer Guy Cudmore says one variety is showing rot he believes could be tied to last year's dry weather. Overall, his crop is down about 30%.
We just slow the process down, you put more people on, because you have to try to do a good job. It's certainly going to hurt the bottom line.
Adding to the strain is the Iran war. Fuel to run tractors costs more. The price of fertilizer is climbing too. While some island suppliers purchased product last year, the next bill could be bigger for farmers. And while supply was lower here, across North America, it stayed strong, putting downward pressure on prices.
Farmers are going to have to suck it up.
The PEI Potato Board's Greg Donaldson says growers across PEI saw similar yield losses. Climate change remains one of the industry's biggest challenges, and farmers have spent years improving soil health, rotating crops, and trying drought-resistant varieties.
There's been a lot more interest in looking at supplemental irrigation so long as it can be done responsibly.
He adds, spring brings a reset, a chance to adapt and start again. For Cudmore, that starts here, getting this variety through the line before the next crop is in the ground.
Cudmore plans to start planting in early June, and while he's anxious about the season ahead, he's also hopeful it'll be a better one. Maria Saru, CTV News North Winslow, Prince Edward Island.
We're getting word of a power outage for about 1,400 residents around the Goulet River area north of Sault Ste. Marie. Crews are working to get the lights back on, but Algoma Power hasn't given an estimated time for restoration. And there's more news still ahead, but first, here's your full weather forecast with Rick.
Welcome back. It's not the news that you want to see, but it's what I've got for tonight and for the next couple of days. Forecast radar, some precipitation rolling in. It's all going to be in effect by later on this evening. We've got some snow, we've got some sleet, and we've got some rain in the forecast, so we'll keep a close eye on that. We'll get into some of the actual details here momentarily. Meanwhile, overnight, Greater Sudbury 5 millimeters of rain, 10 to 20 risk of a thunderstorm. In Sault Ste. Marie, there's also a risk in Sudbury. Timmins, some showers, chance of showers. Timiskaming Shores, North Bay, 40% chance of showers. Meanwhile, Moosonee, beautiful night, a few clouds, 5 millimeters of rain in Caphurst. Wawa, 10 to 20 millimeters. Gore Bay, 5 to 10 millimeters. And Parry Sound, chance of showers at 30%. Now your 7-day forecast. Here we go. Sudbury, Nickel Belt, showers tomorrow, 10 to 15 millimeters at 11. 7 Wednesday, some cloud. Chance of sleet Thursday at 6. Friday, sun and cloud at 5. Chance of sleet Saturday and Sunday, not the warmest. 3 and 7, your daytime highs. In the Sioux and Algoma, showers tomorrow as showers taper off, 5 to 10 millimeters. 8 degrees your high. Wednesday, sun and cloud at 6. Chance of sleet Thursday at 5. 6 Friday, sun and cloud. Saturday, sun and cloud at 5. Chance of sleet on Sunday at 30% with a high of 6. So some semblance of a half-decent week in the Sioux and Algoma with some sunny breaks. Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, showers tomorrow, 10 to 15 millimeters at 12. Chance of sleet for a couple of days, 5 and 2. Friday, cloud cover at 1. Chance of sleet for a couple of days. This is not the best forecast ever that I've ever issued for Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing. 4 and 6, your daytime highs on Saturday and Sunday, well below your normal, which should be at around 12. Timiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake, showers tomorrow, 10 to 15 millimeters at 13. 6 Wednesday, 5 Thursday, 4 Friday, all 3 days. You've got cloud cover. Saturday, Sunday, chance of sleet both days at 30%. 3, your high on Saturday. Sunday, only 7. That's still 6 degrees below normal compared to this past weekend. It's going to be a much cooler weekend to Timiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake, so get ready for that. Let's have a look now at what's happening in North Bay, West Nipissing. Lots of rain tomorrow, 10 to 20 millimeters at 11. 8 degrees Wednesday, some cloud cover. Thursday, Friday, sun and cloud both days, 7 and 5. Take a look at the evening temperatures, somewhat cooler as well. Chance of sleet, 30% both days, 3 and 7. Your daytime highs well below normal for this time of the year. Let's have a pick of the day, if you will. Patricia Leroux. North of Lake Huron, Whitefish Falls, you see the ice in one picture, then you don't. All because of the glorious sunshine and warmer temperatures that we experienced on the weekend. Crystal Shawanda is coming to perform her music in Sudbury this week. We'll find out more right after the break.
Crystal Shawanda of Manitoulin Island is returning to Northern Ontario this week. The Juno-nominated singer-songwriter is bringing her new sound to Sudbury. CTV's Amanda Hicks tells us more.
For Crystal Shawanda, the last 3 years have been good, bad, and everything in between. Growing up in Wikwemkong unceded territory and now living in Nashville, she says a lot of life inspired her Juno-nominated album, Sing Pretty Blues.
We were, just starting the process of recording this album when my longtime manager and agent, Rob Patty, passed away, and someone who I worked with for 14 years, which is like a lifetime in the music business. So it was a lot to take on, a lot to process. And then, also having loved ones who are fighting addiction and, loving someone who's going through that. When I'm clean, I still feel
pain is evident in the song Dirty. Written about the cycle of healing and addiction, the track took on a new meaning when Shawanda's nephew passed away just a month after its release.
I went to a place where he played as a little boy, and I sang the song over and over again and made peace with everything, and I let him go, and I put that emotion into the video. It was a very simple video, but very sincere, genuine, and honest. Not a bunch of bells and whistles. It was just about me dealing with my grief and me coming back to who he really was, because our loved ones are more than their struggles.
Shawanda will be bringing that raw honesty to Sudbury with her husband Dwayne and their 9-year-old daughter Jaja by her side. Jaja even lent her vocals to the title track and will be releasing her own music later this year.
We're watching her bloom and evolve as an artist herself and as a performer, and it's quite exciting to watch, to have those front row seats as a parent.
Shawanda says she is already working on new music. She and her family will be performing here at the Knox Hall this Friday, with a portion of the proceeds going to the Sudbury Food Bank. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
30 years and going strong. Still ahead on CTV News at 6. Tim Hortons teams up with local charities for the always popular Smile Cookie campaign.
Clothing consideration provided by
Fashion Fair. Beautiful clothing for today's woman, where quality makes the difference.
It's a must-win tonight in Sudbury for the city's pro basketball team. Game 4 of the Basketball Super League Final will see the Sudbury 5 at home to the KW Titans. Kitchener-Waterloo leads the best-of-5 series 2-1. After dropping games 1 and 2 on the road, the 5 rebounded last Tuesday at home for a resounding 121-106 victory. Game time is just after 7 o'clock at the Sudbury Community Arena. And to hockey, it was a busy weekend in the NHL playoffs, with only 2 Canadian teams remaining in the mix to potentially win the Stanley Cup. The Anaheim Ducks pushed Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers to the brink of a first-round exit after a 4-3 overtime win in Game 4. Meanwhile, the Carolina Hurricanes eliminated the Ottawa Senators in a 4-game sweep. And in a nail-biter, the Tampa Bay Lightning evened things up with the Montreal Canadiens, sending that series back to Tampa for Game 5 on Wednesday. No one wants to pay for unnecessary car repairs, but some drivers are frustrated with squirrels and mice building nests under their hood. The rodents can chew on wires and other engine parts, and if they do, you could have to pay thousands of dollars to fix the damage. CTV's Pat Foran has details.
I'm just kind of at a loss for what to do because there's squirrels everywhere.
Laura McNulty of Rockton had a 2019 Kia Sorento. Last fall, she noticed squirrels had built a nest in the engine compartment, chewing wires and other car parts.
There was $7,500 worth of damage from rodents that had chewed through a whole bunch of wires and everything.
After paying $7,500 in repairs, she decided to get a 2025 Volkswagen Atlas. But last month, the same thing happened again. This time, the repairs were $6,000.
It's been a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of inconvenience, and we don't have answers as to what to do.
Some telltale signs you have rodents under the hood. You may see scratches, chewed wires, droppings, and nesting materials.
They just tear the car up.
Mice may enter your car through air vents.
We noticed some debris down on the floor of the vehicle, a little bit of a smell. We went right to the pollen filter, and sure enough, that's where we found the mouse's little home.
You'll need to clean and inspect the vehicle.
We want to clean it up and disinfect it. We need to take care of any repairs that need to be done due to the mouse being in the car, and then we need to prevent it from happening in the future. You definitely don't want to use a vacuum cleaner because it turns all that stuff into airborne contaminants, and then you can breathe them in and cause respiratory problems. Then you want to disinfect the area, replace that pollen filter with a brand new one, and put everything back together.
If you see any wires where the coating has been chewed through, your car might not be safe to drive, and you may need to have it checked by a mechanic. Now, trying to keep those rodents out.
There's peppermint oil pouches that you can put inside your vehicle, and there's also a tape that actually has capsaicin in it. That's the hot part of a chili pepper. If they try to chew on the wiring, they hate the way it tastes, and they go find somewhere else to live.
It's best to keep your car free of food debris. If you park in a garage, keep the door sealed tight and put mouse traps out. McNulty worries it could happen again.
I'm not really sure what we're supposed to do, and we're not really getting answers from car manufacturers on what can be done to prevent this.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Now for all your entertainment news, here's David Daniel with the Hollywood Report.
Every mystery forms a complex web. But pull the right strand, and it's a straight line to the answer.
The official trailers are out for Spider Noir. That's trailers plural because the Nicolas Cage series is set to stream both in authentic black and white and true hue full color. The show, set in 1930s New York, debuts on MGM Plus May 25th and on Prime Video May 27th.
Why did you do this? What is this all about?
Heads up, Severance fans. Adam Scott says he already knows how the series ends. The show's star told Variety, "Something we're always trying to do is retain an element of mystery," adding that season 3 is going to be great. There are so many surprises, I can't wait to shoot it. Jean Smart is the new Instagram lip-sync queen. She's racked up more than 30,000 likes on her video lip-syncing to Diane Warren's song Hate to Be the One, sung by Izzy Escobar. The tune played over the closing credits of the latest episode of Smart's series Hacks. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Rogers Communications is looking to shed jobs, reportedly offering buyouts to half of its 25,000 employees. A company spokesperson told the Globe and Mail Rogers is taking steps to adjust its cost structure to reflect the business realities of the current environment. Some business units won't be eligible for the offer, including on-air talent, Sportsnet employees, and union workers. U.S. stocks hit record highs today as investors await earnings reports from technology giants this week. Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg has the latest in business.
Hello there. America's S&P 500 stock index and the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite both climbed to record highs today, even as the conflict in the Persian Gulf keeps oil prices high. Quarterly reports from Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon and Meta are due on Wednesday, followed by Apple a day later. And investors are betting that massive investment in artificial intelligence by most of those companies will pay off. But competition looms as China's DeepSeek slashes prices for developers using its AI model. Canadian stocks are still down about 2% from their March 2nd high. On the markets, the Canadian dollar was up. It changed hands at 73.35 US cents, up 0.17 of a cent. West Texas Intermediate oil traded at $96.46 US a barrel, up just over $2. Our latest fix on Western Canadian Select oil, $73.66, down $1.19. And the TSX ended at 33,818.19, down just under 86 points. That's the latest in business from BNN Bloomberg. I'm Andrew Bell.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold down $20.63, closing the day at $46.8896 US an ounce. Silver up 26 cents to end the day at $75.94. Copper down 2 cents to $5.96, and nickel moved forward 22 cents, ending the day at $8.56 US a pound. Now, I will have your check on Tuesday's weather. Let's take a look at the forecast, starting with Sudbury. 11 degrees cooler than today, 10 to 15 millimeters of rain in through Timmins. Some rain, 12 degrees, not all that bad, in through Sault Ste. Marie. It's going to be a soggy day, 8 degrees, 5 to 10 millimeters of rain in through North Bay, 11 degrees. You see the precipitation level there. In through Parry Sound, sun cloud, well, a risk of a thunderstorm hitting a daytime high of 14 degrees, and for Temiskaming Shores, 13 degrees and rain. And finally, they're back. Smile cookies are now being served up at Tim Hortons across the country. Details right now from CTV's Lindsay Ehrlich in Sudbury.
From Howler and Growler to Pure Country's Josh and Coop, community partners in Sudbury came together to launch the Spring Smile Cookie campaign.
The community comes out strong. We are really, really lucky, and we have such great community supporters. We have the police services, we have HSN, we have the food bank, telethon, the Lions Club. It's awesome, and they all come out and support us.
Proceeds from the cookies sold at Sudbury locations this week will go to support the CTV Lions Children's Christmas Telethon, HSN Foundation, and the Sudbury Food Bank.
What this means for people living in Northeastern Ontario is better access to equipment, better access to research, and so every time somebody buys a cookie, they're supporting healthcare in their communities.
If it wasn't for the Smiling Cookie, we cannot do the telethon without their help and assistance. Many children, many faces will be smiling Christmas morning when they get the toys because of the help of the Tim Horton restaurants in the Sudbury area.
Curry says the money raised through the Smile Cookie campaign accounts for 30 to 35% of the total raised telethon night.
Last year, over 10,000 family. This year, I'm not going to say anything, but we're ready for it. Anyway, we're ready for it to do the same as last year. All the Lions clubs in the Sudbury area, they're more than happy to do it.
This year marks 30 years for Smile Cookies, which are sold for $2 each, with 100% of the proceeds donated to local charities and community organizations. They're only available for purchase until Sunday. Lindsay Alex, CTV News, Sudbury.
Yes, tasty treats. And folks, that's CTV News at 6. I'm Tony Ryma. More news at 11:30 with Ian Campbell. Good night.